Good afternoon, morning, evening, ladies and gents, whenever you might be watching this. Today, we are going to delve into the depths of the White Forest. We're going to learn about what this deck does, how to play it, how to build it, some ideas of things that you might want to pair with it. And I'm coming at this from the point of view of someone who picked up these cards thinking they're really cool, but I had no idea how to play them. So I bet there are more of you out there that were just like me, and the goal of this video is to teach you how to think about playing the deck and talk about what to pair with the White Forest cards to make a really high quality deck. And there's a lot of flexibility in this, which is one of the reasons I love it so much. Now, I'm going to start off kind of from a high level here. We're just going to go over every White Forest card there is. And I'm going to talk about what they do and how you want to think about it when playing. Okay, so the White Forest cards in general have effects that like to send spells and trap cards from your hand or field as cost, and then you get something back. Okay, so we're going to talk about what each of these do in that context, and we'll talk about cards that synergize with that. Now let's start with a Stellar. Okay, a Stellar is going to be our normal summon of the deck. And this is for the version that's not Runic, right? Runic doesn't really play a Stellar because you don't want to be normal summoning this. And you don't want to risk it getting hit by a hand trap in a Runic version. But we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit. A Stellar can send a spell or trap to special summon another White Forest monster from your deck. Okay? That's super awesome. Super good for consistency. And that's why it's one of our best cards. Alzette is similar. It sends a spell or trap while it's in your hand, and then it can search a White Forest card. And now, Alzette is actually a little bit better. You know, why would you want to search instead of just summon straight from the deck? Well, that's because we can get something that special summons itself anyway in Rusia. All right, we'll talk about that in a second. But the other good reason that Alzette is maybe a nicer starter than a Stellar is because it can't get hand trapped by Effect Veiler or Infinite Impermanence that will stop it from summoning and searching, because all of that activates and resolves in the hand, and it won't be on the field for a chance to get it hit with an effect negation. Now you can still Ash the Alzette, but I mean that's, you know, you can Ash either of these guys, right? Sylvie is our other normal summon of the deck, and Sylvie is going to be able to add us a White Forest spell or trap card on summon, okay? So that's on normal summon or special summon, and there are ways to special summon Sylvie as well, and we'll get into that in a little bit. And then we have Rusia, which is our final White Forest main deck monster. Rusia is an extender in the hand. It can special summon itself if you control another White Forest card, or another White Forest monster. And that's main deck or extra deck monster, which is pretty nice. And Rusia allows you to send a spell or trap as cost to draw one card. So obviously in the Runic version, that's super nice. You always like to see card effects that draw in Runic. But in the pure version or the non-Runic versions, drawing is not as imperative. And therefore, we might not play as many Rusias as you would in the Runic version. Okay, so these are our four main deck monsters, and now we can look into our extra deck monsters. The first one we're going to look at is Arciella, which is a level 6 synchro. Okay, I forgot to mention our level 4s are tuners and our level 2s are non-tuners, so any one of these plus any one of these is going to get us into our two level 6 synchros. We have Arciella, which on summon can send a spell or trap to the graveyard to search another White Forest card from your deck to your hand. It can also search any light spellcaster as well, and we'll have a couple options for that. But typically, we're going to want to search any of these guys, which are all light spellcasters. Our other option for level 6 synchro is going to be Silvera. Silvera is more of a going second tool because it allows you to flip your opponent's entire board face down, and then any attacks that you do with your synchro monsters will do double piercing battle damage. So imagine you flip something face down that has 0 defense, like you might see a lot in Yugioh. Then swinging into it with this Silvera will do 3,800 damage in one shot, which is going to be really nice. And think you're going to build up your board a little bit, and all of your White Forest synchro monsters are going to get that damage. Actually, it's all illusion and spellcaster synchros, which are going to be these 3 plus whatever other illusions or spellcasters you might be playing. Typically, we're going to put in a lot of work. Okay, and now our last White Forest synchro monster is going to be Diabell. Okay, Diabell is the essentially boss monster of the White Forest archetype. It's a level 8 synchro, which you can summon using either one of these level 4 guys plus another level 4 not outside of the archetype, or you're going to make it with one of these level 6 synchro monsters, which are tuners, with either a Stellar or LZ, right? So we have a couple ways we can make this, but Diabell on summon allows you to add a spell or trap card back from your graveyard to your hand, which is super clutch. Any spell or trap card, not just White Forest spells or traps. So, that's super nice for recycling stuff like Imperm or Triple Tactics Talent or Skill Drain. If you've sent that used to be a pretty popular thing to do before Skill Drain was hit down to 1, but still, Diabell is really nice. Diabell is also a really nice end board piece because it allows you to special summon a tuner synchro monster. Yes, a level 7 or lower tuner synchro monster from your extra deck or your graveyard to your field whenever your opponent activates an effect. So we can essentially special summon Silvera and Book of Moon our opponent's entire field whenever they activate something on our opponent's turn as a quick effect, which is super nice. And there's another option that's typically in extra decks that we'll talk about in a little bit. But overall, the White Forest archetype has a lot of tools at hand, a lot of things available to do, and it's a really powerful engine. But because there are so few cards, we're going to have to pair it with something else to get full value out of it. Before we move on to other engines, we're going to talk about the White Forest spells and trap cards that we might be seeing. So the first one we're going to talk about is Tales of the White Forest. Okay, this is a spell card that allows you to search for a White Forest monster only if you control another illusion or spellcaster monster on your field. Now this is kind of nice, but it's not like incredible. And usually search spells are very good. But the problem is it only searches if you already have something. So it will get you from 1 White Forest monster to 2 White Forest monsters. But it won't get you from 0 to 1, which is a reason that you don't really play this card at more than 1 copy. It's kind of like a niche thing to search off of Sylvie, but we have better options to search than Tails, so you just need to get one of these. The other card that's commonly played is Woes of the White Forest, and this card, I dare say, is much better, okay? This is a trap card that special summons a White Forest monster from your deck, and then after the summon, you can synchro summon 1 White Forest synchro monster, okay? And remember, typically, we're going to go for this Silvera to Book of Eclipse our opponent's entire field. And we can do that actually twice on our opponent's turn, on the same turn, once with Diabell and once with Woes, and that's going to be super clutch. Something I forgot to mention is these all have graveyard effects that recur them back. So let's take a look at our tuners. Our tuners can special summon themselves out from the graveyard by shuffling back a White Forest synchro monster you control or in your graveyard. So essentially, if you kind of burn these as link material or synchro material and they're in the grave and Sylvie or Rusia is in the grave, well then Sylvie and Rusia can special summon themselves back out, and that's super clutch. LZ allows you to add her back to your hand on your opponent's turn if you send a spell or trap card as cost for something, which happens quite a bit with our White Forest cards. And then we have a Stellar, which can special summon herself back if we send a spell or trap card to the graveyard to activate an effect. Okay, so that's gonna wrap up kind of our total effects of all these monsters. And here's our 2 most popular spells and traps. And then just honorary mentions, because they're part of the archetype as well. We have Beware the White Forest as another spell card that's not typically played. This one allows you to pop an opponent's an opponent's card if you control a illusion or spellcaster monster, so it's something. And then we have, what is this? Susurrus of the Sinful Spoils. This one is going to be able to target 1 illusion or spellcaster monster you control, return that face-up monster to the hand or extra deck, then special 1 illusion or spellcaster from your grave or banishment. So it allows you to dodge hand traps, but only if you already have your graveyard loaded up or banish zone loaded up. Otherwise, it's not that good. But something that these spells and traps all have in common for the White Forest archetype is that if they're sent to the graveyard as cost for a monster effect, specifically, or generally you're going to be using the White Forest monster effects, they can reset themselves back to the field once per turn. So these are essentially paying free cost for your monsters. So, you know, even though you have to discard to do your things with your monsters, if you discard one of these, you're going to get that cost right back. Okay, so you don't really lose anything on that, and that's how you go plus within the archetype. All right, so now that we've wrapped that up, let's talk about what we want to pair this archetype with typically to get the most value. Okay, so the most common thing we're going to pair this with is an archetype that's basically built for White Forest to pair with it, and that is the Toy Engine. Okay, we have this card called Toy Box, Toy Soldier, and Toy Tank. Toy Box is a spell card that allows you to set a Toy Soldier and a Toy Tank from your deck or graveyard to your spell and trap zone. Toy Soldier and Tank, when they're sent from the spell and trap zone to the graveyard, can special summon themselves out. So essentially, we're going to load up our spell and trap zone with Toy Soldier and Toy Tank, and then pay all of our White Forest costs with these, and then we get free bodies on top of that. So that's an awesome synergy, especially because these guys are level 4s, which allow you to synchro summon very easily into the proper levels. And then they also kind of recur themselves. Toy Soldier and Tank, if you draw them, they can be set to the spell and trap zone, on their own without the use of Toy Box as well. So they're not bricks to draw, and generally super nice to have paired with the White Forest cards. Okay. Another archetype that you might see paired up with White Forest is going to be, I know, like crazy in 2024, we're playing these cards, Fiendsmith cards. Okay, why are these good? Well, first of all, Engraver is level 6, so level 6 plus a level 4 tuner makes us our very powerful level 10 synchro monsters generic in the extra deck, which is kind of nice. But also Engraver, if we know it's on-field effect, or rather Requiem's graveyard effect, we can equip the Requiem to the Engraver basically for free, right? And then we have a free spell or trap to send as cost to activate our White Forest effects. So that's a super nice kind of like bonus synergy that we have with Fiendsmith. And then just generally on its own, Fiendsmith is a fantastic engine, making TDD Wave Hiking Caesar, making Fiendsmith Desiree, making, using Engraver to help break boards by using its effect with Requiem and that kind of thing. So that's all super clutch and something that we might frequently see. Another engine that we might see paired with White Forest pretty frequently is going to be Bestials. Okay, now typically we might just see these three as hand traps, kind of our standard stuff, but what you can also play that I haven't tested yet but I think would be kind of interesting is stuff like Lubellion, Regained, and even Beast, because if we can get one of these in hand and then get a Lubellion going, we can send off the Regained for White Forest cost, set the Beast from our deck with Lubellion, and then Beast will be able to get us our Regained back anyway, so we can kind of essentially loop our Regained as White Forest material cost, and that's pretty sweet. So it's just something nice that we can kind of try out in the White Forest strategy, is playing the full Bestial package, and yeah, I'm interested in giving that a try, certainly going forward. All right, besides the Bestials, another thing that you might want to pair up with the White Forest engine is going to be, I guess, generally anything with an on-activation field spell search, and I guess your best option is probably going to be Kashtira, right? So if we activate Raitsoth, search a Fenrir, or even play a larger package and search Unicorn, Unicorn can search Birth, and we're essentially just searching us a whole bunch of spell cards that we can use and then just get rid of for White Forest effect. And that's kind of clutch, so definitely a lot of potential there for synergies with the White Forest cards, anything with field spells that we can just use and then be done with. Another option is going to be Nightmare Throne, right? Nightmare Throne, make a Phantom of Yubel, and then send the Nightmare Throne for White Forest cost, and you have a negate ready to go. I mean, what more can you ask for, right? So those are some options, the typical options that you're going to see paired up with White Forest in the main deck. Now let's take a look at some of our extra deck generic cards that we might want to be playing. Starting off with the honorary White Forest Synchro Monster, which is going to be Zapper Shrimp. Now, you may not have seen this card before. This is right out of the newest set, Infinite Forbidden. It's a level 2 tuner, and it's something that we can summon out with our, our Diabell. And then Zapper Shrimp has a quick effect, or when it's summoned, it can destroy a spell or trap card on the field. And then we can quick synchro summon using Zapper Shrimp. So Zapper plus Diabell can go into one of our essentially generic level 10 monsters like Chaos Angel or Chen Ying. So these are super nice to have in the extra deck for the White Forest strategy, and just generally good cards that we can go into. Along the lines of other synchros, we also have, if you're playing a Bestial heavy build, we can go for a Dispatter here as well, just because we can make this with our level 4 tuners, plus any Bestial into Dispatter, and it's always nice to put a negate up on the board, so that's something to keep in mind. Another popular card to play is Visas Amritara. So Amritara is a level 8 synchro monster that can search Manadium Reframing, okay? And this is just an Omni negate you can leave on your field that you can activate if you control a synchro monster, which your end board almost always will control either the Amritara that you just made, or probably a Diabell is going to be our goal to end on. So ending on an Omni is going to be super nice and help us play around board breakers. And then other stuff we have is, of course, the Fiendsmith cards, if you're playing the Fiendsmith engine. And then just the rest is just generic stuff, like IP Masquerena, SP Little Knight, Typhon, okay? These are all just uses of the space in your extra deck, because you don't need to play a lot of your White Forest synchro monsters because they all recycle themselves via Sylvie and Rusia. You shuffle them back into your deck, into your extra deck from the graveyard. So you don't need to play more than one each, because you can just keep putting them back and resummoning them over and over again. Okay, so that's super nice. And that means you have a lot of generic space in your extra deck to play whatever you want. IP, SP, Typhon, Silo Hat Rabbit as well, with a Angel Statue Azaroon is also another possibility to add to your end board. Okay, so yeah, pretty much a lot of flexibility here. Play Super Poly with fusion targets if you want. I don't know, but yeah, you got options essentially. So that's going to wrap up kind of our overview of the White Forest archetype and how to build the deck, the non-runic versions. I don't think I'm going to do a video for the runic version since there's a lot of content out there already, and I want to put a little more effort into the kind of pure version, or, you know, toys or bestials, or, you know, Fiendsmith, Kashtira, all that kind of stuff, and see where that gets me. But until then, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Hope you enjoyed this. Leave a like, sub to the channel if you enjoyed, if this was helpful, or if there's anything else you want to learn about White Forest in the comments below. I'll try to make a video about it. And with that, we'll see you soon.